few years. Maybe we've lost 3. I'm not sure what the statistic is on that, but how do y'all feel about him maybe missing a few games going on here on forward?
Yeah, and if he has a high ankle sprain, which is what Jerry said after the game, and he's leaving the stadium in a walking boot, it's going to be some time before we're seeing Tyron Smith back out there with the Dallas Cowboys.
And this team has struggled before. When they've been without Tyron Smith, I know the Chaz Green is what everybody's going to remember. There's been times where they've played okay without him, but there's been times when it's been devastating to this offense to lose Tyron Smith. There's been 3-game stretches without Tyron Smith where the wheels fall off of this thing.
Right, so, that was the thing from what season was that where they lose Zeke, but the bigger story was they were so bad without Tyron.
They lost when they had Tyron and no Zeke. They went 3-1 and they blew 3 teams out. This team has been very reliant on the offensive line. To me, that's the biggest part of their identity. Your quarterback is the most important. How he plays determines if you win or lose, but they've been such a big part of helping Dak Prescott when he's at his best. It's when they protect him the best. This is why Cam Fleming's here. The Cowboys saw the error in not being prepared to lose an offensive tackle, and they think that they're better prepared for it. We're going to find out and hope that they're better prepared for it.
Let's talk with Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. And Mickey, the big story, the loss, maybe bigger story, though, is the loss of Tyron Smith. We heard Jerry say that it's a high ankle sprain. Latest report was that he had a walking boot leaving the stadium. What can you tell us about Tyron Smith?
Yeah, you know what? I was told it was more of a medial ankle sprain, so not quite high and not quite low. Now, he's going to miss some time. So, yeah, they'll have to dip into another part of their depth to be able to, compensate for his loss. It's a big loss. He was in a walking boot, so the X-rays were negative, so that was a good thing. There was no bone structure damage or anything like that. But it is a sprain, so he'll miss, and they weren't sure how long yet, but probably missed some time. Kayvon Frazier had a pec injury, and he's going to be out for quite some time. They're not sure if it's for the season or not. A lot of times when you have a pec injury, sometimes you can put a harness on it, get back out there and play, but he hurt it on a special teams play. So I think those were the 2 main injuries that they suffered in the game.
Mick, how much better do you think this team is equipped to play without Tyron Smith than they have been in years past?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I know they re-signed Cam Fleming, but, last time he played, he needed help. It looked like he played okay when Tyron missed some games last year, but they had a tight end in his back pocket helping him out. So it's good that you can get help, but it's not good that you have to have a tight end that can't go out in the pass pattern, that has to help block or at least chip. So to me, that's somewhat concerning. And we'll see how they handle it. But the one thing they've done this season awfully well is protect Dak Prescott. He didn't get sacked in this game until that last series. He said he should have got rid of the ball, but the rush was on him pretty quick, and they knew he had to throw the ball. So, one thing that I think that probably will go unnoticed is while they didn't suffer any false starts because of the noise in the place, it was pretty intense. And just talking to some of the people on the other side, it's like when that noise gets that intense, it's hard for your offensive line to get off on time. And I don't know if that was the problem, but the one thing I was concerned about the Saints defense going into this game was their front four. That was the strength of their defense, and boy, they did a heck of a job stopping Zeke for 35 yards and the Cowboys for rushing with 45 yards. And having said all that, and I know you lose, but boy, it's sure how to lose when you don't give up a touchdown and you only give up 10 points. But I guess the Saints know all about that from last year when they went into AT&T and got beat 13-10.
Mickey, did you see a different offense tonight than what we've seen the first 3 weeks of the season?
In regards to
play calling,
yeah, it didn't work.
But in terms of pre-snap motion, RPOs, things that we've seen the first 3 weeks, or did you see that?
Yeah, and you got to be careful. You got to be careful when you can't hear, and you can't get too fancy. You got to be a little bit more basic. And they had some RPOs and they had some motion, but when you're unable to run the football, and I know everybody got all excited about all the passing, but you still got to be able to run the football, and that's why the Saints were able to control the clock the way they did. Even though they didn't score a lot of points, they ate up the clock because they were converting third downs. This was a team that was converting third downs at 58%, and I think they were maybe not even 30% today. So that's a big problem when you can't run the football.
Man,
so don't ever forget minimizing that, because you start getting.
Y'all ask Mickey, man. Tweet him. What game were he watching?
You got to throw the ball. So I think that was the biggest difference in this game.
Mickey, how much would it have helped to have Antoine Woods and or Michael Gallup in that game? How much they missed those guys?
Oh, I think they missed them. I think they missed Woods clogging up the middle, and I think they missed Gallup because I'm not sure. While Amari Cooper played,
I'm not trying to cut Mickey off, but I wish the announcers asked him, where was Tony Pollard in this game?
And they get called for offensive pass interference. I don't know what you guys saw, but we're a long ways from the field in that press box. But when you saw the replay, especially the second one on that drive late in the game, I didn't see what he did. So that was strange.
Yeah, the officiating, Mick, was just so bad both ways. It was a very closely officiated game, no question.
And I don't know if you heard what Jason said at the end of the half when they had 4 seconds to go and they threw a pass and only 2 seconds went off the clock. Right. He said it was the fastest play in NFL history.
And that's about as candid as you'll hear Jason Garrett publicly.
Yeah, he was pretty steamed about that one. But I don't know if they showed it on TV, but he didn't go directly to the locker room. He ended up yakking with the official for quite a while before he just gave up and walked off.
Mickey, what's your biggest concern about after this game? Is it the loss of Tyron? Is there any other concerns that loom larger?
No, I like I said, you don't overreact when you win one, and you don't overreact when you lose one. You just gotta keep going forward. So, I think the concern is now, yeah, you lost. That's one thing, but when you're probably going to lose, the best tackle in football for a couple of weeks, that's pretty concerning. It's almost like a double loss, but the Saints figured out how to win a game without their future Hall of Fame quarterback. So there's ways to do these things.
Appreciate the time, Mickey. Thank you.
Okay, I got to go. The quarterback's coming. That means the
plane's about to leave.
Close pretty soon, yeah.
Mickey Spagnola, DallasCowboys.com. Cowboys lose 12-10. Trying to find tickets to football games.
It's amazing to me that nobody. We've been live, and they cut the stream off, is back on, the cut the stream off, back on. But we've been live for collectively 4.5 hours or 5 hours and beyond. And nobody called in and say, where was Tony Pollard? If somebody can call that number and ask them, or tweet out to the Dallas Cowboys, at Dallas Cowboys, or at Kelly Moore, or at Mickey Spagnola, Nick Eatman, and all those boys, and say, where was Tony Pollard? You might as well put a MI. He was MIA the whole entire game, man. And to me personally, that was the difference in this game. We didn't have a change of pace back. We didn't switch up things. We didn't show anything of fresh exuberance out there. It was weird, crazy, Cowboy Nation. And this is not me complaining. You know what I'm saying? I'm just explaining. I don't want to hear everybody saying that, hey, Law is complaining. Just take the L and hold the L. No, I'm going to do my Monday morning crow eating. But I have to say this, Cowboy Nation. We must figure out a way to out-scheme the opposition next week. We got to figure out a way to. I don't want to hear about crowd noises and whatever excuse Mickey Spagnola was saying. I don't want to hear that. I just don't want to hear that. We pay these guys not thousands of dollars. We pay these guys millions of dollars. And all you got to do is figure out a way to make this thing happen, whether it's pre-snap motion, whether it is putting that running back out there and letting him do a change of pace. That's just because, from my understanding, wasn't it a lot of Cowboy fans out there in the stands? The stadium wasn't that loud as it relates to only one side, you see. So, yeah, I think Sheila Neal, he got kidnapped or something. Apparently the O-line couldn't hear. I mean, if you thinking that the O-line couldn't hear was the reason why we lost that game, boy, we got a lot to work on. Because if this is what we're going to look like with the O-line not having the ability to hear, I think that we got to really have a long conversation with this coaching staff. And they need to blast the music a little bit louder during practice and training camp and things like that. But Ezekiel Elliott, I understand if the O-line can't hear, but Ezekiel Elliott couldn't see. I don't know if the glare of the nose rings would get it in the way, or if it was too many nose rings and he couldn't breathe or what have you in his nose. I don't know what it was, but averaging 1.8 yards per carry is not the answer. I don't care who you are as a running back. You getting paid $103 million. You sign a big long-term contract, and that's my valuable asset out there because everybody's saying that he is the end-all, be-all. If he can't get that, if he can't give me 3 yards in a push, at least 4 yards in some, then I'm going to have to say to myself, as the coach, what are we doing out here? You say, what are we doing? You say. And if the coach don't have the longitude and the latitude to chastise his players out there on the field, then we got a long thing coming for us, right? Pac-Man says, Law Nation, do you think it's time to cut Austin? He coming back from an injury, and just like we gave the D-Laws of the world and also Robert Quinn of the world's time, I think we got to give Tavon Austin time. But I'm thinking that didn't Cedric Wilson didn't show up today? He did look slow, Brian Bradford. Yeah, I do agree. Didn't they cut? Well, they didn't cut Cedric Wilson, but they didn't activate Cedric Wilson to bring up not bring up Tony Pollard, but to bring up Tavon Austin, I believe, because I didn't see number 11 out there for it today. We need to figure that out as well. This is the reality bubble. We got to figure out some of these things as it relates to next week.
You'll be gone.
We got to figure these out. What happened to Dak? This is from Lockmain. Like I can say, if I have a quarterback that can run and pass, I'll do some run-pass options. I'll do some zone plays. I haven't seen a rollout play from Dak Prescott tonight. Not one single rollout play. Bootleg, wiggles. You got to do something. And I could be wrong. He might have did one rollout play, but I haven't seen it. Let me know. Normally we'll do at least one rollout, you see. Let me know if you guys have seen one. Was 15 out there? Devin Smith was out there. But they even throw. It seems like Eli Apple was Deion Sanders tonight because they didn't even throw his direction. They said, look, we're going to give his side of the field a vacation. They didn't even throw his side of the field. I've seen some roll coverages on the other side of Marshawn Lattimore's side, but I didn't see them even attempt to throw the ball the other way. Yeah, it's crazy. Maher says he could have kicked that 70-yard field goal. Nah, he wouldn't have made that one. But it's good to be optimistic, though. Who's the MVP of our defense tonight? Jalen Smith played it lights out.
10. Cowboys now fall to 3-1. Saints improve to 3-1. And that what a play of the game brought to you by Whataburger. Head on over to your hometown Whataburger and try the patty melt. They may not have been the first to think up this classic sandwich, but they put a pretty tasty spin on it. And that, Jeff, was really the lone fireworks of this game for the offensive side of the ball.
Don't be afraid to grab a taquito when you get to Whataburger.
Not just about the patty melt.
Maybe two. They have a chorizo one.
We heard Warren Sharp Sharp Football, if you follow those analytics, mentioned 11 runs for the Cowboys on first down this game for 1.9 yards per attempt, 8 passes for 7.3. It gets even worse, though, when you look at specifically the first half, where they had 7 runs on first down to only 3 passes. And I don't even need to tell you what the yards per attempt were, because you already know what they are, given league trends at those numbers. You're going to throw the ball at a consistently higher volume or have more yardage on first down throwing the ball than you will running the ball. And the same was true for the Cowboys tonight.
I have a lot of respect for what Kellen Moore has done through 3 weeks, and I think he's going to transform what this organization does offensively, and I'm excited for it. I think there's a lot to what Mickey Spagnuolo just told us, where offensively coming into this game, the environment, the stadium probably had an effect on what they wanted to do and what they were willing to do. And to me, that was coaching scared.
Come on. Bro.
And hopefully there's a lesson learned from that. And if you get an opportunity to play another team that you are better than, that you just be who you are. And
there's no way noise factor plays anything in a rollout play. There's no way noise factor plays in anything as it relates to an RPO.
Right.
That's tough.
And that's, even though we've made fun of the people that want to give credit to Kellen Moore when things go right and blame Jason Garrett when things go wrong.
I'm not buying that excuse.
Coaching scared is kind of a Jason Garrett thing.
I'm not purchasing.
Sometimes.
Passive.
Because he's also been the air it out guy with Romo for a while.
So I'm not purchasing noise factor as an excuse. I'm not purchasing that. If you are purchasing that as an excuse, let me know in the comment box. I cannot purchase that as a factor this game. Now, I can say that they were playing scared. I can say that. I can say that.
Statistic for the night, and the one that scares me the most. Cowboys pass rate on first and second down. In week 1, on early downs, they threw it 69% of the time. In week 2, they threw it 64% of the time. In week 3, they threw it 53% of the time. In week 4, they threw it 50% of the time. And that's including trailing towards the end. So it was under 50% for most of the game. That's going in the wrong direction.
Why is that scary?
It scares me because I think there's a possibility that when Ezekiel Elliott holds out and he just gets there, that you take it easy on leaning on him. And then in week 2, maybe you lean on him a little bit more. In week 3, a little more. In week 4, a little more. But it's going against what works in the NFL.
Where does this come from? It is, and I don't know that we know and can have any answer to that question, but is
this is just a theory thing.
How much of coach involvement is, hey, let's get Zeke more involved this week?
My theory is that
what's your theory?
The better the player is at running back, because I don't want this construed as I'm not an Ezekiel Elliott fan as a football player. He's incredible.
Yeah, he is.
The better your running back is, and now that you've also made a significant financial investment, I think there's a temptation to justify your investment by giving them the ball.
Of course. And that was the reluctance that maybe those of us that don't value running the football put on giving a long-term extension to Zeke Elliott is now you've paid him, you've got to justify that contract.
And so now they've run more on early downs week by week by week by week. That scares me for this football team. You're going to win or lose based on how your quarterback plays. That's how you're going to win or lose the game. So the goal should always be to put him in the best position to succeed. They're moving the wrong direction in regards to that. That scares me.
And they've been really balanced the first 3 weeks, but the balance was really more about the pass opening up the run. You're sitting.
That's how it starts.
You're sitting here and you're looking at these numbers, and you mentioned it, Kavanaugh. The Cowboys have analytics guys. They've got an analytics department.
Good
They're looking
ones.
at it. Yes,
good ones.
So it's like here's what we do on first down, and here's the plays we have success, and here's if Kellen Moore can see numbers and has a brain to process his numbers with, then he should look at these numbers and think, even though maybe we were more conservative here because we were worried about the crowd noise, we've got to at least try to go down swinging with our approach, which Kavanaugh's exactly what you've been saying. Don't go in scared. If you're going to lose the way that you've been winning football games throughout the course of this season.
Ideally, they learn from this. And when they play Green Bay next week, they're more like the team that is out here guns blazing, trying to get first downs, avoid third downs, maximize points on each drive. Ideally, you learn from this, and they're more like the team we saw weeks 1 through 3. Again, there's no shame in losing to the Saints. Even if there are ways you could have lost to the Saints with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback where you would have said, oh, man, you got beat by a good team today.
Yeah.
But if you got beat by a team and the way that you went about it was contrary to everything that you've done right so far this year, that's tough. That's a tough loss to accept.
Yes.
Because it shouldn't have happened.
Because it completely, in the minds of Cowboys fans, undoes what you did see offensively the first 3 weeks. And that's the reality is everybody this offseason thought, man, I hope, fingers crossed, I hope this offense is different. I'm hopeful. I've heard the right things. We've heard all the right things about Kel Moore. It was a lot of hope and praying and thinking, and what are we going to see in OTAs? What are we going to see in training camp that makes us believe that this offense is different? And then there it was in crystal clear high definition through 3 weeks. We saw it. And then now it's gone. What happened to you, oh beautiful offense? That was smart.
We can't have nice things. You only get them for a little while. And they have to be taken from you so that you can appreciate them.
That's right. That's exactly what it is. Kellen Moore called a game like this so that we could appreciate how good the offense was for the first 3 weeks. 877-881-1053. 877-881-1053. Heath is in Grapevine. Go ahead, Heath. You're on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Hey, just two quick things. Well, two things I want to get on. Kind of through the first 4 weeks and this week, 2 points. The first one is slow starts with the offense. I mean, yeah, we looked good first 3 weeks, but kind of don't get things going first, second drive. We got off to a slow start last week against Miami. Washington, I think we scored on the second drive against the Giants week 1, and this week got off to a slow start. And that goes back from last year. Last year, a lot of games we were in, we got off to slow starts. So that's one issue. And 2, it goes back to Jason Garrett. It's funny, but, I mean, it's more of adjustments type. The best running back in the league didn't have the best game. One stat that kind of sums up my frustration was the longest run of the game was 6 yards from Zeke. There was no, long run or anything. So,
yeah.
I mean,
no, appreciate the phone call, Heath. 877-881-1053. Look, I when you talk to NFL teams, you want to get off to a quick start. You want to get up, of course, yes, of course, you want to get off to a quick start, but that's not the whole football game. Like it's just one of those cliches that it's like just like the most. You want to get off to a fast start tonight? Yeah. We'd like to get off to a fast start, but the Cowboys didn't get off to a fast start against Miami. Looked bad offensively in the first half, and then closed the game strong.
And then covered a 23-point spread.
Right. and then scored 2 consecutive possessions coming out of half. The Cowboys scored the first possession coming out of half, and it was like, here we go again. This is what we've been used to, a more consistent, better third-quarter team.
In Miami, they used Tony Pollard.
It doesn't matter as long as your offense finds the end zone multiple times, and it was like the Cowboys found their groove in that first drive in the second half, and then never really found that groove again.
This game, in some ways, reminded me of the playoff game against the Rams.
Yep.
Where essentially the Rams declared coming into the game,
you're not going
to run the ball on us. We're not having it. And so we're going to line up in a way that's going to show you're not going to run the ball on us. And then you couldn't. But then you kept trying. Like, I promise you that Wade Phillips in that game was waiting for you to adjust and was ready for that. And was standing there silent going, well, I'll be danged.
They're not going to.
They're not going to.
Wait, I knew that they wouldn't.
We're going to be able to ride this out. I had all these plans, just burn pages 2 through 50 in my defensive playbook because they're going to let us stay on page 1. That's what this was. Where it's like, okay, once you establish that you're not going to just ram into the line of scrimmage and accept 1-yard carries, you'll do something different, and I'll be ready for it. Who knows if the Saints were ready for it? We didn't have to find out.
Jeff Kavanaugh, Ari Temkin, Dallas Cowboys lose 12-10. They fall to 3-1.
Crazy.
We'll hear from Jerry Jones, what he had to say. You're listening to the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
That guy's crazy, man. Yeah, they didn't adjust, man. All right, Cowboy Nation, I done talked to you all long enough. It's a bittersweet thing because now you got your loss off the way. so we can look back at this and look back at the film and say to ourselves, we got to make the necessary adjustments. We got to make some things happen next week. If not, you don't want to be on a 2-game losing slide, right? So we got to play against a greedy Green Bay Packers team that likes to air it out. They're not going to do a lot of running, but they're going to look at their film and say, okay, we're going to try to run, and we're going to try to stop Ezekiel Elliott and see if they can beat us with the air again. You see, that's what they're going to do. That's going to be their game plan. They're going to look at this tape, and of course, they're going to look at the LA Rams tape and the Colts tape from last year, and they're going to look at all those tapes of how we lost to those teams, and they're going to try to capitalize off of those tapes. So we got to figure out how we can start off fast and utilize the weapons that we got. That's what we got to do, and we can't give careless turnovers and takeaways. We got to capitalize off our opportunities as well. So is it a life lesson? Yes. Is Kellen Moore the main issue? I don't know. I don't know whether or not he came into this game and saying, okay, all right, this is how we're going to approach this thing. I don't know. I definitely don't know. I wish I had the answers. But when all 22 comes out, we will figure out things we'll be able to see. But the shining glory moment was 2 players, in my opinion, number 54 and number 58. Those guys balled out today, and they played, and 55 was solid, I didn't see Jordan Lewis at all in the game. I only saw him, I think, on 1 or 2 plays. Let me know. I want to see Jordan Lewis snap count, and we're going to take a look at that as well and seeing why this team is not having a playmaker out there like a Jordan Lewis is other worlds. And we're going to look back at everything, and we're going to cross our T's and dot our I's and see how we can get back at it. I'm going to say this again for all of the Saints Nation. Appreciate you all. Good game. Thank you all for playing us, and congratulations to the Saints right now. So congratulations. All right, Cowboy Nation, that's been my time. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best. And shout out to everybody who donated, and thank you guys for following this channel. Shout out to all of the moderators too for helping me out, kicking all of the trolls out of the door in the building, people who talking nonsense. And shout out to everybody that's been in here, especially since 7 o'clock or what have you, whenever we started this stream earlier. Really appreciate you all. You guys are soldiers, man. And when you guys are soldiers, man, you guys can still one love. We still at the top of our division, right? We 3-1. Not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. Play calling. We're going to have to fix that up. We can say the refs. We can say the refs. Let's go, Cowboy Nation. Let's continue to grind and shine, baby. Gotta leave you off on this. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting. Hate, not be drawn into hating, and yet don't look too good nor talk too wise. If you can think and not make thought your aim, if you can meet with triumph and disaster and treat those 2 imposters just the same, if you can bear to hear the truth you spoken, twisted by knaves, to make a trap for fools or watch the things you gave your whole life for, broken and stooped and build back up again with worn out tools. You can take one heap of all your winnings and wish to get on one turn of pitch and toss, to lose and start again at your beginnings, and never breathe one word of your loss. My friend, Cowboy Nation, you have unlocked the true meaning of what it takes to be a man. That's been my time again. I really thank you all for yours. And remember, you're listening to nothing but the best.